Hey, everybody, this is Pastor Akil Thompson at Extraordinary Church. We are the perfect church for imperfect people, and I am so glad that you are joining us. We do this every Monday. It's live with Pastor Akil, where we have raw, authentic, unrehearsed conversations helping you live out your faith and really strengthen your faith. And today's conversation that we're going to have with my guest is going to do just that. It is going to inspire you. It's going to help you no matter where you are. If you are a parent, if you are a grandparent, you are going, just family, you're going to have a fun time and really receive some insight. But before we get started and all of that, and I introduce my guest, I want to encourage you, get something to drink. Listen, I've got my mug and my tea, and one of our strategic partners, New Beginnings, Family and Adoption Services. You all know they're one of our strategic partners. We invest in what God is doing there. So I'm repping New Beginnings right now. But get your coffee, get your tea. You all know I do have my water and my mug. So you need to get that too. But get ready, gather the family around. We're going to have a great time having a very authentic conversation. My guest today is kind of like a hero to me. He's super busy. We're so thankful he set aside time. He's a church planter, and more importantly, he's a family man who just has a remarkable family. And so I'm so delighted to have Kenneth Stewart with us. Elder, I call him Elder affectionately, and so it's I got to break that habit. But Elder, how are you?
Doing well, sir. Good to be here with you, Pastor Kelly. Good thing you didn't give me a water as big as what you have, because I talk as long as I have water. So if I had that big of a jug of water, we'd be here for hours.
Listen, I try to drink 2 of these a day, but that's great. That's awesome. Well, guys, let me just say this before we even get started. As always, we're going to have great conversation. I want you to share this right away on your social media platforms. Go ahead and do so. Share this via Facebook. Tag somebody that's watching via YouTube. This is going to be a blessing. As always, I want to encourage you to engage with us, because as you engage with the comments, you're going to be entered in a giveaway. And today we're giving away a must read, especially for families. It's a book called The Blessing by Gary Smalley. It's a classic that you have to have in your library. So as you engage with us, as you like and you shout out and you engage in dialogue with one another, you're going to find that you'll be in the drawing and you could win this. And we'll reach out to you to let you know how, if you won, and we'll tag you in the comments. And if you want it via digital or paper copy, whatever the case may be. All righty, let's go ahead and jump in. You know what I found out, Elder? We're the perfect place for, imperfect people. So we say no perfect people allowed at Extraordinary Church. And so right out of the gate, there's no such thing as a perfect parent. There's no such thing as a perfect child. But you have been there, done that. You have 3 young adult girls who are all love God, involved in ministry, and seeing some great things happen. Yet, I think when we look at today's culture, raising kids today is very different than what it was 15, 20 years ago, or even longer. I'll give you just an example. Today I had a friend who is not even a believer. She just posted this on Facebook. She said, this is what my kid's English assignment was. And his English assignment was to pick his gender. And she said, hey, I'm not here to make anybody uncomfortable, but how is this related to English? And how what's going on here? Why didn't they have a conversation with me first? And so she went ahead and immediately engaged the school authorities. But we live in a day and age where, how can I say this? Where it's kind of like our world will allow a 10-year-old to pick their gender, but a 10-year-old will not be able to pick their bedtime. It's just kind of like, and what we have found is the cost of biblical convictions in contemporary culture is growing steeper every day. And so right away, I'm curious for you. Parenting is tough. My question for you, the first one is, parenting is tough. yet it's very rewarding. How can parents, how did you and Alethea, how did you all embrace the struggle in raising three young ladies?
Well, I think it's interesting to use the word struggle. And I think the first thing I'd like to say is life is about balance. And I
Mm,
think why we sometimes look at things as being a struggle is because we look at it as competing against each other. I grew up in a pastor's home. I was a pastor. So you look at the balance between time at church, time at home, being a pastor, being a father, or for those who might be in the ministry, working a job, providing
mm,
for your family, and having the time to help them, homeschooling with COVID and all these things like this. What
yeah.
I've learned in life is that the various tensions of life use it to keep you in balance. So instead of
Mm,
looking at it as a struggle, look at the tensions being there for a reason. I give
yeah.
people this example all the time. For example, I get tired. Well, it's a good thing I do get tired because my personality is such. If I didn't get tired, if I didn't get hungry, I would go to work at 8 o'clock on a Monday morning, get wrapped up in the project, and it'd be midnight Thursday before I realize I got a wife and kids at home because I'm so focused on what I'm doing. But
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
my body gets tired, because I get hungry, I start thinking, I need lunch, I need to sleep.
Mm,
And so instead of looking at, a struggle, look, how do I balance it? And you
yeah.
balance it by having right priorities. You
Oh,
balance
this is
it
so good.
by living, not just saying, God first, family second,
Right.
ministry third, work third. You make those decisions. And, one of the things, the Bible says a love of money is the root of all evil. And I believe a fundamental issue in families today is parents' love of money.
Mm,
I tell people all the time, I can't brag about the jobs I've had. I can tell you about jobs I've turned down because it would affect my family negatively. And so I always look at those various tensions as things that keep me in balance.
wow.
So ministry work, family, bills, job, career, children, wife, these are all there to keep me in balance. So as long as I have the right values in practice, it's not a struggle
Yeah.
because it's there to keep you in balance. They all serve a purpose to keep you pulled in perfect balance, with each other.
Yeah.
And so
That's good.
and also having the right priorities, which
I
creates
love
the
that.
right values, and having the right goals, and making your goals family goals.
Wow.
Those are
Right
some of the keys.
priorities and right goals. Yeah. Give me an example of maybe something your family did where you talked about those right priorities, but what are those right goals and what did it look for you and your
Well,
wife?
well, for example, we had I made it clear to my church that my priorities was, God, family, then ministry. So I
Mm,
gave you a practical example of turning down a promotion because it would take me away from my family or ministry, or in the church, letting people know that God called me to be your pastor. My family, my children just came because I'm here. So, I'm going to protect them. I'm going to have family time. It's going
that's
to be
good.
times I'm not going to be available because I got to have the balance of, of being, being their father and being my wife's husband. And
Yeah.
so making sure and living that, setting that example for them of what a healthy and taking vacation time. We never compromise on vacation time, getting away.
Wow.
So our children knew for this week, this is my father. It's not my pastor. You know, it's not just someone I live with, but we're getting away and showing them you're important. We're going to unplug from everything
Wow.
else so we can connect with you.
I love that. I love that. And something that we do here at Extraordinary Church is we do family night is Monday night. We don't
Yeah,
schedule
yeah,
anything.
that's very
And I
good.
encourage everybody to take advantage of that, shut things down, watch a great movie, enjoy. Everybody cook dinner together, a board game. Go for it. Well, you don't want to go for a walk right now. It's
Yeah,
it's cold, but you get the point. Go for a drive. Go hit a Krispy Kreme. Do something together as a family. That's good. And I'm looking at Stephen. He just mentioned it. God, family, ministry. Those priorities are key. Now, here's something I want to run by you. I'm curious to see what do you think because you mentioned the tension, and so this is a natural setup. I'm setting you up, and folks, I'm throwing these balls at him. He doesn't necessarily know what's coming. But one of the challenges for families today, because school and the academic schedule and the demands are rigorous and you mentioned life and health and relationships and careers, juggling all of that, having right priorities. So if somebody says, listen, I got it. God is number one. My family is number two. My career is number three. Talk to me. Uh, it's so difficult sometimes. Why is it that doing devotions as a family can be so difficult sometimes? Give us some encouragement. Is it just, what are your thoughts to that? It's difficult, and how can we achieve that?
Well, it goes back to what I said earlier about balance and priorities. So I'll give you an example of that is I looked at myself, not just because I was their pastor, but as their father. I was my children's primary spiritual leader.
Yeah.
I'm their primary educator. I'm
Wow.
their primary example in life. So because of that, see, the problem challenge we have today is parents depend upon the school and the church to raise their children, and the school to educate them, and the church
Uh-oh.
to feed them spiritually.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
where I looked at it was the pastor, the youth pastor, the church were there to help me do my job, but it's my job. So since
Mm.
it's my job in my home, it's going to be a priority. We're going to spend time together in the Word, teaching the Word. I'm not depending upon the Sunday school teacher at that. And I,
Wow.
this, and like even in a more practical sense, when my kids elementary school, I intentionally became the PTA president at their school. It was
Wow.
unheard of to have a man as PTA president, but I was that involved in their schooling
I
because it's
love
my
that.
job to educate you. And so my kids saw that no matter how busy
Wow.
dad was, and then they couldn't say you can't come to my school. Oh, wait, I'm the PTA president. I got meetings to go to.
Yeah. Oh,
I
that's so
approached
good.
every job. So since it's my job to spiritually educate my children, then it becomes a priority to make that happen.
I love that. I love that. That is so good. The
And so that
involvement,
that
the
to me,
Did we got you? I think we didn't lose you. There you go. Okay, yeah. We heard you. And that was so good because being involved, being engaged is critical. I'm curious if, and I hope that we still have a good connection. He looks frozen. It's kind of like, but y'all know I'm still here. If we lose him, he can hop back in. We'll see. You there? You there, Kenneth, or no? No, we lost him. Oh, don't go anywhere because I'm hopeful he'll be able to jump back in. And if he isn't, I know the questions. I don't necessarily have all the answers, but I want to share some things with you. I hope that you've enjoyed this. Let me say this again. If you haven't already, engage with us. Let us know you're there because this book in particular, we are all about giving away. We're all about extraordinary generosity, but we're also about giving away things that are going to add value. I want to tell you right out of the gate that if when you get this book, and even if you don't win the book, I want to encourage you, go ahead and make the investment. Wait until we give a shout out to the winner because that might be you. But if not, get this because it is a great way of talking about creating a safe space in family and the approval of just what familial love is and how to be a blessing. And it brings out biblical principles that are going to help you and encourage you in this regard. So I'm so thankful that this is adding value and helping everybody. I'm encouraged. We're going to see if he comes back in here. But let me tell you something else that I want you to understand. I was going to ask him a question. Some of these are very personal because I want you to see what God is doing through this family. It's remarkable stuff that is happening. It's super encouraging. But let me just tell you this. Challenges are unavoidable. Challenges are unavoidable, but we must prepare our kids. I want to share something with you that I believe is something that will help you to prepare your kids. Because listen, life is going to be tough. The first thing you need to understand is that this is just my 2 cents. Here, you know what? He's coming back in, so we'll let him get back in and get situated, and we'll give this a try. Nope, maybe not. We had him, and then are you there, Kenneth?
I should have just
Okay, there we go. You're live. Let's see. Can you hear us? Can't hear us. Can you hear us? Can you hear me, bro? Technology is a wonderful thing when it works. Let's try it again. Hold on 1 second. That's great. Okay. You there? No. Well, I tell you what, I'm going to give him one more go, and then so here's the thing I was going to propose. Challenges are unavoidable. You must prepare your kids. Let me give you some practical things, something in particular that my father taught me that I hope will add value to you and your family. Preparation plus opportunity equals success. I want you to understand that we as parents have a responsibility to prepare our kids in every sphere. We talked about it last week, the necessity of having a biblical worldview. The very first thing you have to do is this. Hear me. You're going to have tough times, challenges. The very first thing you want to do, especially as people of faith in Jesus Christ, is point your kids towards Him and live this out authentically. You don't have to have all the answers. As a matter of fact, you should probably be revealing and tell your kids, hey, I don't have all the answers, but guess what? We're going to figure it out together. Let's go to the Word of God and see what God has to say about something. In doing this, you're immediately letting your kids know the first line of defense, we go to God. That's the first thing. When there's a challenge, we go to God. When there's a joy, when there's a victory, we go to God. When we want to see things and discern things through a proper lens, where do we go? We go to God. And so if you want your kids to have true godly success, prepare them as such. Know that the opportunity is inevitable. The opportunities are going to come to be challenged. And let's just say this. A lot of times we look at challenges from a wrong perspective. I'm just doing this on the fly, but I feel like I might be helping somebody right now. Challenges are what help us grow. We grow through challenges. If life were easy, we wouldn't grow, but we grow through challenges. So know that typically when that opportunity is going to come, when that challenge is going to present itself, which it will, if they're prepared, they'll be successful. And so I hope this is helping somebody in that regard. I want you to be encouraged in that sense. Two, I want you to also understand this. Let me just say this, and hopefully this will help you understand this. It's okay. It is tough. It is tough. Embrace the difficulties. Embrace them. Don't run away from them. Sometimes we run away from these difficulties. Now, let me just say this. Here are some very practical things that we do. And the challenges are unavoidable. But I want to tell you, here's something that we do to prepare our kids. And we'll see. But you know what? We do some family devotions. We have a parent meeting. Every day we sit, our family meeting, I should say. Sarah and I have a separate parent meeting. But every day we sit down with the kids and we set the tone for the day. We've begun to pray over them every day. I want to encourage you, you know what? Pray over your kids every single day. Bless them in Jesus' name. Declare what the day is going to be. Declare how you see God moving in the name of Jesus and how it's going to be a great day by faith. These things are going to happen. I want to encourage you to do that. And Rochelle's recommending a book. Listen, there's somebody out there, Natasha Crane. Go ahead and consider some of that content. Pastor Trevor, we're glad you're with us. Thanks so much for taking a moment. Let me share something else with you that I think may or may not, but this is huge. This is tough because the lines between dependence and independence have been radically blurred by two huge factors. One, and parents, some of us can be there. Some of us can be here. We can be that over-controlling parent. And then there's technology. Okay? Let me just give you a few things as to how you can give your kids some space. You don't have to have this all figured out. But in any relationship, every relationship moves at the speed of trust. Every relationship. And if there's no trust, then that relationship is not going to move forward. Oftentimes, you'll find it sitting in a standstill. And that you don't want your relationship with your kids to be in a standstill. You're going to, now this is going to be tough to say. I remember God dealing with me because I'm not necessarily that overprotective parent, although my kids would probably disagree. But here's what I do. And you are right. With God, all things are possible. Here's what I do, though. You know what? When you talk with your kids and you're connecting with them, you want to give them an opportunity to make a mistake. This is tough because I can remember when my kids were growing up and Mia was becoming a teenager. God challenged me and said, "You're going to have to let go. You're going to have to let go. You are going to have to realize, Mom and Dad, not only is it trusting, you're trusting, hear me, I just want to help somebody, trusting what you have done over the years, trusting your children, but it's also trusting God. You have to realize that you have done what you done what you can do to prepare them, equip them to be successful. And then you're going to have to give them some leash, some room, some longitude and latitude. And let me just help you. Let me just help you right now. Your kids are going to make mistakes. Your kids are going to make mistakes. Okay? When they make mistakes, this is not the time to go ahead and say, you know what? I knew you were going to mess up. I knew you were going to fail. No, 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 no. You know what this is the time to do? Be the wind beneath their wings. Catch them. Praise God. And you're right, Michelle. You know what? They're going to make mistakes because we make mistakes. This is why we say no perfect people allowed. There's no perfect parents and there's no perfect kids. So when they make mistakes, you know what we do? We lovingly build them up. We prepare them and say, hey, let's wipe the dust off. Let's get back up. Let's get back in the fight. I'm hopeful to be able to bring Kenneth Stewart back because I want you guys to hear what he has to say concerning some of these things. They're going to encourage you and bless you because all three of his kids are remarkable kids, and his family is a remarkable family. They've seen some great things happen. Let me just say this. I want to make one more comment. I had these for him, and I'm just chiming in. It can be scary, okay? It can be scary when your kids have questions and they make mistakes. But here's what you need to do, okay? You need to power through. Let me just help you this when I say this. Your kids need to know. Let's see, he's coming back in. Let me see if we might be able to get him on this one. So let's see. Hey, there he is. Can you hear me?
Whatever. Yes.
No. Okay, great. Listen, I was just flowing and doing it myself. It's okay. I was bragging and talking about what God is doing in your family and in your kids. But what we were talking about is relationships and how they move at the speed of trust. And you know what? You're going to make mistakes and your kids are going to make mistakes and how mistakes are opportunities for growth. And so I was just kind of hitting some of these. I'm going to back up and I'm not going to repeat some of that. But here's what I do want you to speak to since we've got you. It can be scary as a parent when your kids have questions or maybe make mistakes. Now, Kenneth, I want you to you don't have to necessarily reveal anything, but I want you to talk about how you and your wife said, look, we're sticking with them no matter what they're going through. What are some practical things to just let your kids know? I've got your back. No matter what happens. Dad and Mom, we're here.
You know, one of the rules I have with my kids from a young age was this. If you ever tell me anything that I would not have found out any other way, there's no judgment and no consequences.
Wow.
Now, it's been tough to live. I will tell you, matter of fact, if any of my friends see this, they probably won't appreciate this. But my kids have come to me when they were teenagers and some of their friends were involved in drugs, immoral activity, sexual activity, and different things like that.
Sure.
And it was a safe place. And it's hard because now I can't go to my friend and say, guess what your kid is doing? Because that's going to, so my kids knew that if they come, now they couldn't come to me and say, I got an F on my report card and here it is 5 minutes later. I'm talking about something I wouldn't find out. And so it created a safe place. They know no judgment, no consequence. And it's hard as a parent sometimes. You want to say, what stupid thing did you let yourself do? But you have to be a place where your kids know if I come to my parents with a problem or tell them something that they would not have known any other. There have been times my kids have been in, unfortunately, not by design, in a bad situation. A friend that took them to a place they shouldn't have gone, took them to a boy's house, did something. But they always knew we could come back and say, Dad, Mom, I need to tell you what happened, what really happened tonight. I had no idea this was going to happen. and swallow every shocked look on your face that your baby could have made that decision, and have a place they can come to you and say, no consequence, no question.
Wow.
Let's talk about it.
You're challenging me.
Yeah. And so, and that's a trump card your kids need to have, so that they can come to you at any time and say, you know what, this is what happened. I need to talk to you about it.
I love that. That's a great trump card. Our kids need that. They need to know. And you know what I love about this? And Sarah says this, and she says it reminds her of Jesus and his mercy and forgiveness. You know what? That's what we need. We need that safe place. He is, that safe place for us, that hiding place, that place of refuge. And so I think telling our kids that, hey, no matter what, you need to know you are safe. Now, I'm curious. This will be my last question for you, because I'm curious what your thoughts are. Listen, challenges are unavoidable, and we have to prepare our kids. Now, I look at the 3 young ladies you have, beautiful young ladies. I almost wish my son was just, I'm like, son, if you had a few more years on you, I had a little inroad. I have a little inroad, and I could hook you up. So they love God. They're serving God. They're accomplished in also academia, young budding careers, leaders of worship. How the challenges going through it, how did you and your wife prepare the 3 of them to be so successful? I shared earlier a mantra that my dad shared with me was preparation plus opportunity equals success. How did you prepare them?
Well, I would say, I spoil them rotten. So I'm just glad they're productive members of society. But I think there's a couple of things that I taught them from a young age. Number one, what they heard from me from a young age is life is tough. You have to be tougher. And so I didn't try to shield them from the toughness. And one of the things about a parent, you need to protect your children, but you don't want to smother them. As a matter of fact, even as they got older and they got in leadership in the church, there were times they had to deal with difficult situations and deal with difficult people. And my wife's not here to defend herself, but my wife, the mama bear would come out of my wife. And she wanted to go, I said, listen, our girls have got to learn how to deal with difficult, speak up for themselves. And I would say, as pastor, I easily could have stepped in and defended my child. They would come to me and I would say, you know what? You go to so-and-so and you work it out with them. You work it out with them, because I don't want to raise you where you don't know how to speak up for yourself. So the second thing was, I wanted my kids to make some mistakes at home. We're not talking about immorality and, things against the word of God. But for example, how to budget money. So when they get to a certain age, you give them their allowance and you let them buy everything they need. And guess what? They spend their lunch money this week. They take peanut butter and jelly, whatever it takes. There's a consequence for your action. So you have to teach them. You coddle them. Some parents say they coddle their kids too much. So their kids don't know how to face the tough things in life. And so, so even though I spoiled them rotten, I'm not going to say I didn't, but I prepared them for life by telling them, you got to do your best and consequence for your action. For example, we had rules in our house. Like if you brought a report card home, you got so much for an A, so much for a B. You got a reward. I've seen parents, oh, Johnny's mad because he got all B's. His sister got, no. Guess what, Johnny? You knew it was $5 for an A and $3 for a B. Your sister got twice as much money because you got a bunch of C's. That's a real consequence. And we're not working on that. We're not gonna. You only got $3. Your sister got $25 because you didn't buckle down and do your homework. And so, so we got to stop calling our kids and prepare them for real life. And I think that's a big part of parenting today, is they try to shield their kids from too much, and nothing wrong with spoiling them, but don't, smother them where they don't understand the consequence for real life.
That was so good. And that right there was worth the price of admission. And that is a tension that Sarah and I are managing, in that, okay, we don't want to coddle them. We want to prepare them to be successful. And we also don't want to insulate them, because life is difficult. And I love what you said. Life is tough, but be tougher. And what's interesting is I learned that kind of on my own. But man, to get them to get that.
And this is an extreme example. Even when they were young, like 5 years old, if they fell on their bike and they hit the ground crying, I'd be like, you can get up. I'll be here right now. I'm not going to let you bleed or hurt yourself. But my wife probably thought I was mean in those times. Like, what, you want to help us? I say, no, there's nothing wrong. We're going to get up and go ride this bike again. So, so I think there has to be that balance there. Of course, you're not going to let them hurt themselves. I'm not going to let somebody abuse them. That's, in leadership over them on a job or a school. But I'm not going to fight every battle for you either, because when you leave home, you got to know how to stand up for yourself spiritually, emotionally, physically. You got to know I'm not going to let somebody peer pressure me or talk me into anything.
Man, that's the truth. That's the truth. This has been so good. And so, family, EC fam, I want to thank you so much for stopping by. Again, I told you, I call him Elder. I can't, I'm trying not to, but I want to say thank you so much, Kenneth, for coming by and being with us. I hope, guys, that this has added some value. It's added a lot of value. I'm already thinking about how I can apply some of these things. I want to encourage you. Share this conversation. It's a very helpful conversation. I'm reminded by what somebody said, Lorna in particular. She said, I wish I had this information years ago. But you know what? She does have grandchildren now, and it can help. So whether you're a parent, a grandparent, this can help you. So get the word out. Share this. We're going to have a great time. And let me tell you what we're talking about next Monday. Next Monday, talking about life is tough, but be tougher. Sometimes, if you ever had those confrontational, conversations, and they're tough. Nobody wants confrontation, and if you do, that's kind of a sign of toxicity right out of the gate. But how do you have those difficult conversations gracefully, whether it's with a spouse, a child, a family member, a colleague, a neighbor? How do you have those graceful confrontations and conversations that are necessary? So a good friend of mine who is the epitome of grace and kindness, Pastor Ed Ford, is going to be with us. We're going to have a great time having this conversation. So I can't wait to share this with you next Monday. Join us next Monday at 3 o'clock. Kenneth, thank you so much for being with us. Stick around. Guys, hang around. Don't forget, check out the comments. We'll tag you if we can, because somebody's going to win the book, The Blessing. It's going to be an encouragement to you, and we can't wait to share that with you. God bless you guys. Have a great Monday.